Evening is mentoring day for me. So I spend the day mentoring the people on my team. We've got 35 people on the team now. Just amazing to think of the work you can do when you're not just by yourself. I think it's super important that you recognize you have a big mission, big dreams, big ambitions, and you can't just do this on your own. At the beginning, maybe you started all on your own. At the beginning, it's you doing everything you can, but as you build, as you grow, as you improve, as you can start to afford, you hire somebody even part-time because your mission requires you to do something bigger. Your mission requires, your vision is too big for you to do this all on your own. And when you bring people on, it's important that, I got my special guest here in the chat. You guys are going to love these two ladies. As you bring mentor them, guide them, not just treat them like monkeys or robots. But we're going to have an awesome conversation coming up with two amazing, there they are.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
You managed to fit into one screen here.
No. Yes. I'm such a fan of yours that I knew Kate was coming on. I'm like, that's not happening without me.
It's true.
I love it.
I literally invited myself.
Hey, I love it. That's what entrepreneurship is all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Kate and Marisa in the house from Straight Up Impact, which is an awesome company I just recently discovered. I love the mission. So here, I wrote it down. To create commercial films to move audiences to create social change. I love it. Mm-hmm. Welcome aboard, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
So you've got a new film out called Mackenzie. Is it out? Like, can people go watch it yet, or is it still kind of in the pre-stages?
No, there's actually a launch. We have a free screening that anybody can go to. If they go to straight-up-impact.com, they can sign up on Thursday.
Well, you can sign up today.
We'll sign up today for our Thursday event at 5 p.m.
Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can register on our website.
I love it.
To Instagram, which is at Straight Up Impact, and there's a link in our bio for that as well to go and register. And it's being hosted by Prince EA, who's awesome. Mm-hmm. And we'll have a screening of the film. We'll have a couple of panels. We'll have Mackenzie and a couple of other students talking about their experience in going through the education system and how it's impacted their mental health and added to some emotional struggles. And we're really excited.
Yeah.
I love it. So I saw just the 1 minute trailer, I guess, that you have on your website, where it's about this girl who's trying to keep it all together, trying to keep her 4.0 GPA and swimming and extracurriculars, and is kind of on the edge of making it versus falling apart. Why was this the film that you chose to make?
Well, this is a series. So it's a series, the first film of a 3-part series. So it's all addresses systemic issues that are contributing to anxiety, depression, and suicide. So we've identified 3 of them. The first one is the education systems and the pressure cooker that these kids are under that has driven some of. And the second is overprescription of medication. And the third is how we use social media. So it's an overall, what drove us to do this is we saw suicide rates were going in the wrong direction. And, we saw a big change from when we were in school to what these kids are going through. And too many children medicated. I mean, it was disturbing us. We're mothers. And so this has been myself, Marisa, and our partner, Pam Roy, this has been our passion, is to not just call out the system, but to bring in additional resources so that we're not trying to take anything down, but we're building something else.
We also very much wanted these kids. We interviewed so many, and they're really struggling. They're really struggling in a very industrialized system of education and pharmaceuticals and social media, and they're widgets for profit. And we wanted to really give them a voice, give them an opportunity to tell their stories. And hopefully we as a community of educators and policymakers will actually listen to them, because as Kate said, suicide is at an epidemic level. It's the second leading cause of death in adults and it's underreported.
Yeah.
So clearly the numbers are higher than that. And we need to make a change, and it's our job and our duty as, you know, as parents and as members of this community to take a hard look at this and do whatever we can to make, you know, make the change.
Are there any recommendations in the film of what that change actually is?
Well, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, but we're actually making the film with Tony Robbins, which is awesome.
Nice. That's going to be epic. When is that coming out?
So, well, we are in development phase. We're in the script writing phase.
Cool.
We're working with the Frankl family, and specifically, we're working with Alex Fesley Frankl, who's Viktor Frankl's grandson. He's also a licensed logotherapist. So, a lot of missing piece that we don't talk about when it comes to mental health is the actual health part and finding meaning and purpose. And, you know, Viktor Frankl helped eradicate the suicide rate in the 20s by helping people find meaning and purpose in their life. He actually got the rate down to 0. And it seems that from what we've heard on the kids we're interviewing is that there is a perception that they're unclear about what there is to live for. Choices are being made for them. They're doing things and they don't know why. I mean, the way in which the system is constructed is treating more children like widgets than people, individuals. So I hear a lot of people say, you're not unique. No, you are. That you are. Not any one of us is made up exactly the same. So we're talking about meaning and purpose. So when you, just to answer your question, that's not something that's brought up a lot when you discuss mental health.
Mm. There's not really a class in school around meaning or purpose either, right? It's about teaching the math skills and
you can't profit off meaning and purpose.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're hitting people at that age where they're struggling to become an adult. You know, where it's like they're maybe, you know, still living at home but trying to figure out what's my place in the world. I don't want to just listen to what my parents say. I maybe don't want the life that they have, but I don't know what the alternative it is. And so I love that you're trying to approach it from hey, this is what's happening. You're not alone. Lots of people are going through this. You don't feel like you have to suffer in silence, which I think is another big deal. Like we're afraid to say that we're struggling. And nobody, like we look at Instagram and see people's perfect lives and realize we feel like we suck because we are not getting all this stuff, but really most people aren't happy. And so I love that you're kind of shedding the light on this. Is the goal then to say, hey, like find your purpose, find your meaning, figure out why you're doing what you're doing? Like, is that the next step that people should be taking to get out of it?
It's more, I just say this, it's more of a community thing first. I think first step is, you say so many people are suffering. So many people are suffering. I mean, this is it's a problem that we can't just go to our neighbors and say, hey, I feel terrible or I'm depressed, or we can't go next door, that we can't speak to somebody in the grocery store. There's no community. There's help. It's more isolation. And to start talking about it, that nobody's alone. So many people feel like this. And how we shouldn't have to call an 800 number. We should be able to talk to each other. Everybody's suffering. And as Viktor Frankl said, everyone has their own Auschwitz. So I think it's trying to build communities and starting this discussion, and then just talk about meaning and purpose. I mean, it's a deep question. It's not like I mean, this is it's a process.
I also think looking at the education film first, which Mackenzie was so brave to just come on and really tell her personal story. And these are short films as well. And, you know, as filmmakers, we really wanted to drive in on the emotional side of the storytelling, because it's where you can really move people when you get them caught up in the emotion of somebody's personal journey. But, you know, we are operating in a very kind of industrialized school system that values a kid's worth based on a number, based on their GPA, based on their SAT score, and in subjects that they may not necessarily feel passionate about. And so those that don't necessarily thrive in test taking and don't necessarily thrive in mathematics or English are not getting valued as a human being, and because it's just based on this point system. So a lot of what we're exploring here is like, how do we focus on more on student-centered learning or asset-based learning, and giving kids kind of the freedom and the okay to follow their passions, lean into stuff that they feel just more drawn to, more passionate about. And you know, for my son, who, you know, he's a musician and he struggled immensely with in the teaching process, and you know, being diagnosed immediately with ADHD, and being being pulled out of class, being put in a rocking chair, like trying to treat him, you know, as though there was something wrong with him, when he's really just a brilliant kid that was more drawn to music and art and film than he was towards mathematics. And it's really for us as parents to look at what our kids are passionate about and give them the way to lean into that.
Absolutely.
Back to the point around community, are you trying to create, like, are you having a Facebook group around it? Are you trying to create community yourself for Straight Up Impact? You're going to connect to other community groups? So like, what's the community plan?
Well, so we're just launching. This is our launch. So yes, we will be starting groups. Yes, we will be creating resources, and we'll be sending out newsletters, and we will be updating people. But we're at the very infancy stages of our launch. And what we wanted to do is start the conversation. The best way to do that is through an emotional experience and listen from the kid's perspective, not the adults, but listen from the child. And her voice is really powerful. But we are creating things now. We're going to talk a little bit about it at the event. There will be a panel about some of that. So if you sign up, you can hear more about it.
There you go. And it's what, straight-up-impact.com?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wasn't sure from watching the trailer if it was a true story or not. So it's cool that that's actually her and it's not, you know, some scripted thing. How does she feel about being the face for this? Is it extra pressure? Is it relieving? How does that impact her?
I mean, she's scared for sure. I mean, and to be vulnerable, and you know, but at the same time, she's so wise, she's so smart. There is a hopeful side of it, and she's she's
An advocate.
And she sees that this mission is beyond herself, and she hopes that her own suffering will help other people.
Some people in the chat are asking, how do I connect with you ladies? Where is it just going to Straight Up Impact? Is there a group? Like, where do you want, people want to dive deeper into your world, where do you want them to go?
They could send us messages on Straight Up Impact, and then we'll follow up with our contact info.
Perfect. I actually just pinned the comment. So straight-up-impact.com. If you guys, anybody watching, when does that come out? This Thursday?
Thursday.
And we're
exciting.
On the second film, which is the pharmaceutical film.
Yes, we just finished. Post-production. Very exciting because it's a hell of a story. Definitely a hell of a story.
How come you picked this age group to target?
Probably from personal experience of
okay.
Of what we've been through, our backgrounds, and that's sort of the age that you're still a lot of times not heard, misunderstood, nobody's listening. You know, it's a tough age. It's tough hormonally, tough pressure-wise, social, economic. I mean, it's just it's an age that needs a lot of support, and so we picked that age. I remember some of personal things, which is why I've been wanting to do this for a long time.
Is there a difference in gender at all for this, or age group, or issues that people are going through, or you think it just hits everybody?
That's what we love about it, is it doesn't discriminate at all. We've seen it, I mean, at so many different types of people, and even ages ranging from 12 to college years. I mean, it spans quite far, unfortunately. And so, yeah, I have not seen it discriminate. This topic is hard for everybody.
And we have talked to kids all over the country.
Yeah. And
due to COVID, we were restricted, obviously, from a filmmaking perspective, to stay in California. But the goal for this is to branch out and tell stories from all across the country and turn this into an ongoing series. Right now, it's a 3-part series. But our goal is to give kids a voice from all parts of the country and the world, the world.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for somebody who's struggling with it and their parents are their big problems, that there's expectations, you're supposed to go do this, you have to keep the family business, or you've got to go be a doctor, and the kids want to be a painter or something, just like something totally outside. They want to be a film. You're crazy to be a film producer. Don't go make movies. Go be an accountant, right? For the kids who want to pursue their dreams, but they've got expectations inside the family that doesn't support that. What do you recommend?
I mean, it is a family issue, right? It's a lot of times we want to change the kid, but it's the environment that needs to be focused on. So, I don't know how to change a parent's mind that needs a child to be something that they don't want to be, which is why we are making films where you can actually hypnotize people, influence people, where they watch something and they have an emotional experience and it sparks a conversation. And maybe a parent watches that, because there's kids who've committed suicide. And maybe a parent watches that and says, oh my God, let me ask my kids some questions. Am I doing the right thing? Maybe they are. I don't know. But first, I think you have to expose it and then talk about it in a way that's not shaming or judgmental, or everyone's well-meaning for the most part, so not making anybody wrong, but maybe looking at something differently.
We had we had an intern set of Mackenzie, and her mother was on set with us as well. And her mother had no idea that this young girl was feeling the way that she was feeling, identical to what Mackenzie was experiencing. And she's a senior and getting ready to go into college, and that is not a path that she wanted to take. And she didn't have the bravery at that point, or even the knowledge that there are other choices. And she ended up finally having this conversation with her parents about that there's a new path for her. She wants to explore something outside of this very traditional college or high school to college to grad school, or whatever that pathway is. And they had a conversation. It was the first time that she felt safe enough and free enough to say, hey, my path is not your path. And it was amazing, because I think kids have a hard time sharing what they want to do outside of what this very traditional pathway has been for so many years.
I don't think they know what they want. Lord, not even just sharing, is in knowing. I've asked so many kids, nobody knows. I want to play video games. Yeah, that's what my son says.
I want to make video games.
Yeah.
What I love about it is, I think if a kid in that age group is struggling with it, but they don't know how to broach the conversation with their parents, what they could say is, hey, go watch Mackenzie. And it's like the entry point to even start a conversation. Is that part of the intention?
To spark a conversation, to give kids a voice, to really try to come together to create a tangible change in the system that's broken. And if it wasn't broken, then kids wouldn't be killing themselves at an exponential level.
You know what? I love Sir Ken Robinson's quote, because he's a big advocate for this. He says, people ask, how do we stop this? His response is, stop creating it. And I love it's that simple. I mean, it's not that simple, but it is that simple.
It's not easy, but it's simple. Have you thought of, the first thing that comes to mind is, after parents have watched this video, or the kids have watched this video, that then one, immediately they feel not alone, which is great. I'm not by myself. I'm not isolated. There's other people who look like me in the world who are struggling with this exact same thing. So that already can make people feel more connected. If people are then going to have a conversation with the people whose opinion that they care the most about, typically probably the parents, do you have I almost see it like as a one pager, like, here, sit down with your parents and talk about these 3 things or these 5 questions, like as a next steps, like, okay, I watched the movie. Yes, I feel not alone. I'm inspired. I need to go have that tough conversation. I don't know how to have that tough conversation. How do I sit down, and what do I ask, and what do I say, or how do we create a safe space? I think
Yes.
people still, like, is there a resource guide or like 5 questions to talk about with your parents, or like, what's the next step after?
Well, I mean, it's not a one size fits all for everybody, but we will definitely, these are part of our creating resources, and these are things that we will be building soon. But these are the kinds of questions that people ask. I don't know that there's a one size because I mean, I come from a certain kind of family. You couldn't talk to my parents the way you could talk to, you know, our colleagues' parent. Very different. So it depends. Hopefully resources that can help people find their meaning and purpose and follow that.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I think it's a starting point for a conversation. I think
Yeah.
the more you can kind of give people the tools to then continue the conversation, either within your community of like-minded people, which is awesome, or with the people whose opinions they care the most about. I think that's how we start making meaningful change.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not going to fix overnight. I mean, but we have to start looking at the things we can change instead of the things we can't.
Some people in the comments were asking about cultural differences.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, California, I'm sure you hit a bunch of different cultures. Mackenzie, you know, comes from one background, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you've done research and you've connected with people from all sorts of backgrounds. Well, first off, the problem is everywhere, right? The problem is this is not just a lower class, upper class, middle class, white, brown, anything, right? I mean, it hits teens from every, right?
It doesn't discriminate. It crosses all socioeconomic communities and all kids, and each struggle, you know, is their own and personal to them. And that's why really for us to give these kids an opportunity to speak, to hear, like, let their voices be heard, let them know that their voices are valued, they're worthwhile, that we want to hear from them. There are people that want to hear, their friends want, the resources out there, and we want to be build out resources, but also be a place where they can have a voice. Mm-hmm. If they, you know, we're here. Straight Up Impact is a place that they can share their stories, and we're calling for them too. Like, if anybody's listening, we're looking for more subjects.
Yeah.
Actively looking for people that are interested in sharing their story and being a part of this overall campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So we've got, I mean, this Instagram Live, which is great, straight-up-impact.com if you want to check it out. For people who watch the YouTube replay, we'll put that link in the description below. Go check it out. If somebody's watching this in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months from now, obviously the movie's already come out, is the best place for them to go still Straight Up Impact?
Well, we'll have it on a YouTube channel. So we just created that. So on Thursday we launch. And so we'll have it linked to YouTube, and then it'll also be on our website.
I mean, the ultimate goal is obviously to have a big movement around this, but we have to start with our small launch or quasi small launch, and then build from there and just build more followers and more stories and more content around this.
And what's in the pipeline then? So you got this is a 3-part series. Is this one? There's medication.
Yeah, the overprescribing medication to children.
Right. And what was the third one?
The misuse of social media. And the isolation of social media. So those are the 3 that we're doing right now. And then we mainly make feature-length feature films. This is just a part of our business that we find probably most important, the most important our work. Yeah.
I love it. And then Men's Search for Meaning is coming out in 2022, or when's the release date?
We'll be filming next year.
Cool. Well, super exciting. Keep me posted. I want to learn more. I'm pumped about this new release. Mackenzie's episode 1, right? In the 3-part series? Yeah. So Mackenzie's episode 1, straight-up-impact. Again, the link is here pinned, or check it out in the comments below on YouTube. I love what you ladies are up to. As soon as I saw it come across our desk, I saw the mission to create social change. I was like, I love it. We got to have them on. We got to talk about it. Looking forward to future conversations as well. And best of luck with the launch. I think what you're doing is really important. And the more I can lend, you know, my little spotlight on things as well, it'd be amazing.
And
Thank
we
you.
love everything you're doing as well.
Yeah.
Definitely tuning in all the time. You always have the best guests on, and you're awesome. So thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing. Well, this is the first I've done a two-person one where they kind of squish together on the camera. So I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, ladies. Have a great week. And thank you for spending some time with us to talk about Mackenzie and Straight Up Impact.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Much love.
Bye.